Right, so made a bit of progress. As you can see, I've got the silicone hoses sorted. What I've decided to do is to run the barrel across here in that gap, so that should work well. I should have enough slack as well to possibly fit a bigger one, a 10-inch or a different style one. I need to trim the hoses down. There's couplers in here to keep it rigid, but obviously these are too long at the moment, so they'll have to be cut back to move it further towards the cross member, and the same over here. But yeah, so far it's going quite well. I've made a start, well, I've pretty much finished the Chargecooler. The only thing is it's quite flimsy. You see there's a bit of wobble in that. But what I've done is I've used angle there, aluminium angle. It's all a bit rough, to be honest, cut wise, and then supported it, reinforced it with some more aluminium there. It's not made a massive difference, to be honest, but what can I do? You know, it's only as strong as it is from the manufacturer. So that should fit nicely with the bumper there, and then the fill point is just down there, which is a bit awkward, and it's part of the reason why the heat exchanger is sort of mounted a bit pissed. So I've obviously had to move that side slightly over, but yeah, I think it should go all right. What I'm going to do is take it off now, mount a fan in this gap here that will be on all the time, the same as the pump, and then also all these oil lines down here will be tidied up, wrapped in plastic conduit to protect them, and then hopefully I can carry on tomorrow with the wiring. The pump is going to sit there after the bloke gave me some advice, so I'm going to mount a 12-volt relay up here, and going to use the live from this, tap into this, and I've run a 12-volt live from my dashboard. So basically as soon as the ignition switched on, this will start pumping water around the system, and also the radiator fan will start up. Heat exchange is fitted, all bolted up with nylocks, nice and secure, it's not going anywhere. As you can see, one thing I don't really like is these cable tie things for the fan, but they do the job. You might just be able to see there is the fan mounted in the gap. All the oil lines have been wrapped in plastic conduit, all protected. I've run the wiring for the fan just here, so I've got the live, the chassis earth, and then my switch live. So yeah, really tomorrow, hopefully if the pump arrives and the relay, I can get that all mounted, and I'm pretty much there, to be honest. Just a case of running the hoses, which won't be a massive hardship. One of the other things I've done as well is just change some of the vacuum lines for black. I'm sort of going to go more to a factory look rather than the blue, so I've got to change that black one, and then change the fuel pressure regulator one. Also these blue ones I'll be changing, but silicone hose is quite expensive, so it's going to be a gradual process. And I've also got this one here, which is going to go to the dump valve, but I've left that long just to give me plenty of excess. This blue elbow I will be replacing at some point. I already had it, so it made sense to save a bit of money to reuse it, but yeah, at some point it will be changed. So yeah, I've made some good progress today. All the hard work's done really, it's just a case of plumbing everything in. Right, so basically this is pretty much the finished install. I'm a bit disappointed with the mounting of the heat exchanger, because as you can see I've had to sort of offset it to one side. You're probably thinking, why have you done that? Main reason is up there, you can see there is the filler cap for the heat exchanger itself, and obviously if I move that over it won't clear that edge, and I can't move the heat exchanger up because it won't clear that edge. So the heat exchanger is as high as it will go, and really that's it. I can't make any difference with that. I can't adjust it unless I was able to weld aluminium, which I'm not. I'm not going to pay someone to fabricate something either. So you can just see there I've got the quick fit style radiator fan fittings, which just push through. So I've got those, and then from above I'll get some more light. Bear with me a second. There's the radiator fan, so that's just bolted onto the back, and that will be running all the time. And it's connected inside the inner wing to a relay. We'll see if we can see anything from up here. There you go. So there's the water pump. I opted for a Rule Auto water pump, sorry, which designed for wells predominantly, but it will do the job that I want it to do, which is for pumping the Chargecooler coolant system. So that's perfect for me. Got a rated life of 1500 hours, which is good, and a simple case of removing the top cartridge to replace when it's worn out. So that should give me plenty of service. It's what most people seem to use rather than an expensive Bosch pump. And then you come into the engine bay. So I've got my 70mm to 63mm coupler here, which I've cut down on the back, and then I've got a 45-degree angled 63mm alloy pipe, and then I've got a 63 to 76mm, which then goes to the Chargecooler, then a 76mm to 51mm or 50mm to the blow off valve, and then to the compressor side of the supercharger. So you're probably thinking, where the hell has the intake gone? Well, I did try and route it through this gap here, but it's just not enough room, to be honest, and I could have probably done it with smaller intercooler pipework, but then I thought I don't want to make a restriction. So what I'll do in a minute, I'll show you underneath and you'll be able to see what I've done, which works really well, to be honest. It's probably not much different from when I had the AEM intake, which ran like this and down into the wheel well. It's quite low down, and people often used to say about hydrolocking the engine. Well, where I've located it this time is in between the block and the subframe, and there's plenty of room there. It's quite low down, but I don't think I'll have problems with water. I might build a splash shield, but we'll have a look in a second. For the blow off valve, at the moment I'm waiting for a 35mm T-piece, which hasn't arrived. Unfortunately I can only get it from China, which is a bit disappointing. So I've just stuck in an old blow off valve. I had an old 25mm, and it's just vented to atmosphere. So at the moment, the way I've designed the system is that the hot compressed air that I don't need when cruising will get vented straight out of here, which means that my Chargecooler barrel, get it to look at it, there we go, Chargecooler barrel won't be cooling down air that it doesn't need to. So in other words, if the blow off valve was over this side, when you're bypassing, you'll be having hot air from the compressor going through the Chargecooler to the blow off valve and then venting. Well, you're chucking heat, unnecessary heat, into the Chargecooler, and you're also adding it into your heat exchanger. So you're basically making the whole system work a lot harder than it needs to. So yeah, I decided I'd make that change, but obviously room makes it quite tight. But relocating the air filter has done me a massive favour in that respect, because I've got more room. I'm actually considering whether, if this doesn't work particularly well, I mean, I'm not not 100%. I can't test it at the moment because I've got issues with my laptop. It's died, so hopefully I'll get a replacement today. So I'll be able to check the inlet temperatures. But if this doesn't keep it cool enough, then I might look at getting a longer heat exchanger. They do them on eBay, and it means that I'll have to cut this back further to move that there, cut that back further to move that there, and then basically I'll end up with the pipework running here and the heat exchanger in the middle, which should probably work quite well, but the clearance between here and there will be pretty tight. So as for the water lines, I've rotated the barrel as high as I thought I could do, so that the airlocks are kept to a minimum, and also I fitted this cap here, which is for just topping up and checking the level. And to bleed it, what I've done really is that every now and then with the pump running, I've just pulled these hoses about, you get a few bubbles out, and also use the funnel in there to get the height up a bit more. But after about 10-15 minutes of the pump running, most of the bubbles had gone. You could hear the pump just pumping water, and yeah, it's worked out really well. So fingers crossed, when I do some testing, this will do the job. I haven't mounted any brackets to hold it down because it is quite sturdy there, and the weight is hanging on here on the cross member, and also on the other side it's also sort of resting against that. So I'm not overly fussed. For testing purposes it will be fine. So the coolant lines, they're 19mm. This one, as you can see, loops back round and goes to the hot side of the Chargecooler heat exchanger, and this one goes to the pump. So basically the idea is that when you're doing the charge cooling, that you want the coldest water to come in this end, and when it gets warmer to come out this end. The idea being is that obviously the hot intake charge comes through here, and you want it to be its coldest when it comes out of here. So having the coldest water this side is going to facilitate that. It's probably only a minor amount of difference, but it's worth doing in my opinion. So that's what I've done, well, based on what I've read on the internet. I think it looks quite tidy so far. I've got a bit of work to do. I want to change these boost lines on the back here from blue to black. I'm sort of gradually going back to a more sort of stealth appearance, or more OEM. So probably also this cam cover I might get powder coated black in the future, and just everything made to look a bit more like it's factory original. And I'll replace this blue elbow when I get a chance, but I didn't want to justify spending another 20 quid on a hose, a silicone hose, just when I've already got one. So to get the car up and running, it made sense to reuse that. So what I do now is I'll have a look underneath the car and show you where the air filter is. So hopefully you can see there the air filter, and yeah, as you can see, there's quite a bit of room there. It doesn't protrude lower than anything else. The only issue I'm going to have is it's going to make oil changes a bit more of a pain, but I know exactly what socket I need to use to remove the air filter. So it's only going to take me about 10 minutes, and in reality it'll probably encourage me to check the air filter and make sure it's fine, it's got no, you know, wear and tear on it. So when I'm testing this, I'm just going to make sure that it's not knocking against anything, but it all seems pretty firm and shouldn't have any issues. While we're down here, just have a look at here. Originally this supercharger oil filter and pipe work would be located attached to a boost hose. So what I've done is I've had to cut part of the shroud on this fan just to allow me to get a cable tie, just to hold it tight, so that's not going to go anywhere. All the air pump's been removed. If we move the light over, you've got a better view. Obviously this wiring's a bit of a mess at the moment, but let's try and get a good angle there. This wiring's a bit of a mess at the moment, but that's just purely because it's more testing than anything. Once I know everything works, I'll be tidying it all up. So there's the pump. You can see that's going to the cold side of the heat exchanger, so once the coolant's been all through it, then it comes out this side and goes up to the Chargecooler barrel. In hindsight, I probably could have used a different Chargecooler barrel. I could have gone with a 10-inch one, which would have been a bit more of a tight fit, but probably would have worked, so I might consider that. I don't really want to spend any more money at the moment, so we'll see how it gets on. I mean, there could be a lot of factors as to why I don't get the coolant, the inlet temperatures I expect, but most of them will probably be because I've not set it up right, or the coolant's not bled properly, so I can't really complain too much. That's probably down to me. So the pump is mounted pretty well. I've just cable tied it for now. Problem is, it's quite hard to keep making aluminium brackets for everything. It's very time consuming. Just the decision on the air filter took ages because I didn't really want to put it down there, but there's not much I could do. It's the best place. It takes a bit of room out of the engine bay. I've got solid mounts, pretty solid mounts, and I don't know if you can see them there, Vibratech ones, and over here, so the air filter shouldn't be rattling around. And that's the same K&N filter I had originally mounted at the top. So I'm pretty happy. There's a few things that need tidying up, but I think there's enough done that means that I can test the car, and I'll probably just give it a 10-minute blast with the laptop plugged in so I can see what's going on with the inlet temperatures. If they're obviously going through the roof, then I know I've got something to worry about. The only sort of thing that I could probably do to enhance the system is have a reservoir of water kept, like say 2 litres, that might ensure that I've got a more capacity for coolant for the Chargecooler. And I could in reality buy one and probably mount it up here, because there's quite a big amount of room up here and it'd be quite hidden away, but obviously it makes it a bit of a pain when you come to bleed it. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll try and get some videos of me testing it, and also get a video showing the data logging and the results I've got. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe.